We're going to talk about drug dosaging, and we got a couple different methods here. We got the tried and true desired dose over dose on hand times volume on hand, and that's going to give us our volume that we give. Disadvantage to this is it works for any drug. Then over here we got the 10 and 2 rule, which this is good for fentanyl and Versed 5 milligrams to 1 ml. And I'm going to introduce the 10 and 2 and 2, which is good for ketamine, DAI protocol. And then I'm going to introduce the kilogram divided by 2 by 2, so kilogram 2 and 2. And this is good for Etomidate DAI protocol. Now, I know this seems like a lot, but the advantage to using any one of these three methods is that it's quick mental math. We can get the precise volume that we're going to administer in emergent situations. Now, the advantage to this one over here is that it works for any drugs and it's always going to be correct, but it's going to take time, possibly pen, paper, and a calculator to figure out, which is not necessarily what we want to be doing when time is of the essence. So just a quick review here. We're going to do the formula, and we're going to give a pediatric dose of amiodarone. So the dose is going to be 5 milligrams per kilogram, right? And our amiodarone comes packaged in 150 milligrams and 3 mLs. So this breaks down to 50 milligrams and 3 mLs. So right away, I can go ahead and put 50 milligrams here for our dose on hand times volume on hand, which is going to be 1 ml. So what we need to do for this method is we need to convert their pounds to kilograms. So let's say they are 36 pounds, right? So we are pretty good at converting this to kilograms, which is going to be divided by 2.2. So you can either do the calculator method and figure out the exact answer, or you can do the 36 divided by 2, which is going to be 18, right? And then subtract 10%, which is 1.8, and that's going to give us 16.2 kilograms. Our patient's weight, and it's 5 milligrams per kilogram. Then we need to do 16.2 times 5, which is going to be 81 kilograms or milligrams is our desired dose. So we can go ahead and fill in 81 here, and 81 divided by 50, 1.62. So we got 1.62 times 1, which we all know equals 1.62 mLs. And that's going to be our desired volume for amiodarone. Now this works for any drug that we carry. Alright, so now let's talk about the 10 and 2 rule. The 10 and 2 rule is good for fentanyl and Versed 5 to 1. So this is the small vial that has 5 milligrams in 1 ml. The advantage to this method is it's quick, it's mental math. The advantage to using Versed 5 to 1 is when we need to give IM or IN, or if we need to give smaller doses for pediatrics and we don't want to be administering that much fluid in a shot, for example. So this method works great for IM adults or any pediatrics in general because the dose is 0.1 milligram a kilogram. Alright, so to figure this out, what we're going to do is we're going to take their weight in pounds. This is the 10 and 2 rule. Their weight in pounds minus 10%, right? And then we're going to move the decimal place over 2 spots. Move 2 spots. So that is the 10 and 2 rule. So 180 minus 10% is 18. So that's going to be 162. And then we move this over. So we get 1.62 mLs. Now this is going to be the accurate dose for your fentanyl, and it's going to be your accurate dose for Versed for your 5 milligrams to 1 ml. So that is the 10 and 2 rule. Now this works for any weight. This works for a 5-pound baby, right? So we got baby, newborn, seizing, 5 pounds. We subtract 10% of 5 from 5, so that's going to be 0.5, so 4.5 is our total. And then we move this over 2. So this is going to be 0.4 mLs that we give for Versed for a seizing neonate. So that's the great advantage of this rule, is it really doesn't take a whole lot of thinking, and you can do it very quick in your head. So now let's introduce the 10 and 2 and 2 rule. Now this is specifically for the ketamine DAI protocol, right? DAI. So the advantages of using ketamine for DAI for our asthmatic COPD patients, that's going to help open up those airways, so that might be the preferred method for sedation over etomidate. Now the ketamine comes packaged in 500 milligrams per 10 mLs, or we can break that down to 50 milligrams per 1 ml. So the way that this works is exactly like the 10 and 2 rule, except we just add an additional 2. So if our patient is 180 pounds, we're going to subtract 10%, which is going to give us 162, right? We're still going to move our 2 over, so that gives us 1.62, and then we just multiply that by 2, which is going to give us 3.24. 3.24 mLs is our dose for ketamine, and that's how it works for the 10, 2, and 2. So now we're going to talk about the Etomidate rule, which is their weight in kilograms divided by 2, and then you divide that by 2. Now, we know that Etomidate comes in 40 milligrams per 20 mLs. In other words, that makes it 2 milligrams per ml. Alright, and we also know that our dose is 0.5 milligrams a kilogram. So we're going to start with an easy one. If they are 80 kilograms, we know we're going to times that by 0.5, which is going to be 40 milligrams. So we know we're going to get the full 20 mLs here, right? So let's see how this rule works. Kilograms divided by 2 is 40 divided by 2, which is 20 mLs. So that is the kilogram divided by 2 divided by 2. So now let's try that with a different weight, a more complicated weight. So let's say they are 76 pounds, right? So we're going to do our math. We're going to divide this by 2. 76 divided by 2 is going to be 38 minus 10%, so minus 3.8, and that is going to give us 34.2. Another, just round it to 34. Okay, so 34 divided by 2 is 17, divided by 2 is going to be 8.5. 8.5 mLs is what we give.